Welcome to Shadow Keepers, the podcast where the bedtime monsters lurking under your bed get their stories told.
That's right, from the mischievous to the menacing. We're here to explore the shadows that give us chills, and maybe even a few laughs before the lights go out.
I'm Lee, your guide to the mysterious and the macabre.
And I'm B, the one who's probably sleeping with a nightlight on after this.
So grab your blanket, tuck yourself in, and get ready as we step into the world of bedtime monsters and the stories that make them come alive.
Here's a short, chilling story about Bugbear the parents would tell to their kids to make them behave. The small village of Black Hollow, nestled deep in the woods, had always shared whispered tales of the bugbear. Parents used the stories to keep children close, warning them of a hawking beast that preyed on the reckless. No one truly believed the stories until the disappearances began. One by one, villagers vanished, always near the forest edge. All that was left behind were deep gouges in the trees and claw marks in the soil. Those who dared to investigate claimed to hear growls and the sound of heavy footsteps in the night, but no one ever saw the creature itself. One stormy evening, young Ellis, a skeptical woodcutter, decided he'd had enough of the villagers' fear. It's just wild animals, he said to his wife, tying his cloak around his shoulders. I'll find proof and put these silly stories to rest. He armed himself with a lantern and axe and ventured into the forest. The wind howled through the trees, and the rain drummed against the leaves. But Ellis trudged on, calling into the darkness, "Bugbear, come and show yourself, you old wives' tale." The forest answered with silence. Hours passed, and Ellis found nothing. He began to laugh at his own foolishness, ready to turn back, when he saw it. Two yellow eyes stared at him from between the trees, glowing like coals. His lantern flickered, casting just enough light to reveal a massive figure, fur matted and wet, crouched low to the ground. It was watching him. Ellis froze. The bugbear's claws glinted as it stepped closer, each movement impossibly quiet for something so large. He gripped his axe, but his hands shook. The stories never mentioned how tall it was, or the way its breath sounded like a growl, echoing deep in its chest. Ellis turned and ran, heart pounding. The forest seemed endless, the shadows closing in on him. The creature didn't chase, it stalked, its steps deliberate, always just out of sight. Ellis' lungs burned, his legs trembling, but he dared not stop. When he reached the village edge, he collapsed, gasping for air. The yellow eyes were gone, swallowed by the forest. He tried to warn the others, but they only found his axe, lying in the mud with deep claw marks raked across the handle. Ellis was never seen again. To this day, villagers say if you walk too close to the woods at night, you might hear heavy footsteps behind you, or worse, feel hot breath on your neck. But if you turn around, you won't live to tell the tale. I don't actually get the point of these types of stories to tell your kids. I know it's like to put fear in them, but I'd rather them fear me than a monster.
Yeah, but sometimes they don't fear you. Like my youngest sister was fearless. Nothing scared her except for a monster. And every time it thundered, we'd be like, there's a monster. Then that's when she would listen and actually will behave.
Well, did you fear your mom?
No, I was a different child. I didn't have fear, but I had more respect.
Mm.
So I listened to them out of respect, not fear. And then, but
But I think too, like your sister is just like me.
the
There's
youngest,
such a big age gap. So it's almost like being a only child, even though you have siblings. And I feel like by the time like I came, my mom was tired.
yeah.
But then I had my siblings to put that fear in me.
Yeah, and she didn't really fear us because she was so spoiled by my parents, especially my dad. So he always protected her when she would act up. And then as soon as it would thunder, there's that monster, you better behave. And
Yeah.
that's the only way we could get her to behave herself. But yeah, but Going to bed? No, we never told her scary bedtime stories. There was a book called Scary Stories to Tell at Night or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about?
I think they turned that into a movie.
Yeah, I think we started to read that to her, and then like the first line was a head rolling out of a fireplace, and then she was like, and then we started cracking up. We're like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna read this right now. Put that away. So that's as far as the bedtime stories went, but yeah.
No, I read regular old books to the baby. He has his own little library, but nope, I never did that. I don't even think I I remember being told a story, but I'm not sure if it was like told to me as a bedtime story or told to me as a story about like a bedtime story told within our culture. Because I feared my mom enough to go to bed because she might have had me old, but that lady was still scary. Okay, some names that the bugbear goes by is the child stealer. A young boy disobeys his mother and ventures deep into the woods, only to hear a chilling guttural growl and see a massive shadowy figure, with glowing eyes emerging from the trees, dragging him away into the unknown. The night watcher. A lone woodsman on patrol hears unsettling sounds in the distance, like heavy footsteps and snapping of twigs, and then glimpses a monstrous silhouette with a grotesque, twisted face peering from behind a tree before vanishing into the darkness. The Whispering Woods. A family living near the edge of a forest tells stories of how their children sometimes wake up with strange scratches and nightmares of a large, hairy creature with a deep, haunting voice whispering their name in the dead of night. Bugbears are often portrayed as stealthy creatures, able to silently stalk their prey and appear from nowhere, leaving victims feeling vulnerable and terrified. Their size and strength, akin to a bear, makes them physically imposing and capable of inflicting serious harm. Descriptions often include sharp claws, jagged teeth, twisted human like features that are both familiar and unsettling. Some stories suggest that the bugbear's power grows stronger when its prey is filled with fear, further intensifying the terror. The bugbear myth, legend, and fear. This mysterious entity, born of folklore, is more than just a scary story. It's a reflection of the deepest fear, a symbol of the unknown, and perhaps a little misunderstood. So let's delve into the history and evolution of the bugbear. The name bugbear might sound whimsical, but its origins are anything but. This creature's story begins in medieval Europe, where it was first imagined as a monstrous bear like entity lurking in the woods, waiting to snatch away children who strayed too far from safety. The word bugbear comes from Middle English, bug, meaning a frightening creature, and bear, referencing its supposed appearance. The bugbear was depicted as a bear with goblin like features, fierce, hairy, and menacing. It's no coincidence that bears were chosen for this legend. During the Middle Ages, bears were both feared predators and symbols of raw, untamed nature. Combining that fear with supernatural elements made the bugbear an even more terrifying figure. In early folklore, the bugbear wasn't just a scary story, it was a warning. It represented dangers lurking in the dark, both real and imagined, and served as a tool to keep children obedient and wary of wandering too far from home. As stories of the bugbear spread, its form and purpose began to change. In some regions, it became less about its physical appearance and more about its role as the boogeyman figure. The bugbear wasn't just a monster in the woods anymore. It was a shapeshifter, capable of hiding under beds or in your closet, ready to pounce on mischievous children. Interestingly, the bugbear's legacy is not confined to Europe. While the creature itself may not have traveled to other continents, its concept as a lurking, child snatching entity has paralleled worldwide. In Spain and Latin America, there's El Coco. In Japan, the Namahag. And in the Philippines, the Capri. Each of these figures serve a similar purpose to keep children in line and warn of dangers they might not fully understand. The bugbear also found its way into literature. By the 16th century, the term bugbear was used in English to describe an imaginary creature used to instill fear. Over time, it evolved to mean a persistent source of fear or annoyance, a pet peeve of sorts in modern language. Today, the bugbear isn't as well known, as some of its folkloric cousins, but is still present in pop culture. Most noticeably, it has been embraced by the fantasy genre. In Dungeons and Dragons, Bugbear, a rare race of goblinoid creature, towering and brutish, blending their folkloric roots with a new terrifying twist. These bugbears are cunning predators, often working as mercenaries or ambushers in fantasy settings. Outside of gaming, the term bugbear is still used metaphorically to describe persistent fears or anxieties. For example, someone might say, "That's my bugbear," when referring to a frustrating or nagging issue. The evolution of the term shows how folklore can seep into language and remain relevant even as the original stories fade. What makes the bugbear such an enduring figure to fear? At its core, the bugbear represents the unknown and the uncontrollable. It's a creature of the wild, a reminder of the dangers that exist beyond the safety of your home or village. In a way, it's a manifestation of humanity's fear of nature and the dark. Psychologically, the bugbear taps into universal fears. For children, it's the fear of abandonment or punishment. For adults, it's the fear of losing control or being unable to protect loved ones. The bugbear serves as a vessel for these anxieties, turning them into something tangible, even if it's imaginary. The bugbear may have started as a legend, but is a reminder of how fear shapes our actions and our stories. Sometimes it's good to control the things that go bump in the night, even if they're just shadows of our own making. My next bedtime monster is El Cuco in Puerto Rico, a short story about him. One warm night in a small mountain town in Puerto Rico, little Mateo stayed up past his bedtime. His abuela always told him to go to bed early, but he loved playing with his toys too much. When the clock struck 9 p.m., his abuela warned, "Mateo, go to sleep, or El Cuco might come for you." Mateo giggled. "El Cuco's not real, abuela." His abuela sighed and kissed him goodnight. "Just don't get out of bed, mi amor. Stay safe." The night grew quiet, and the coqui began their song outside Mateo's window. But as Mateo laid in bed, he thought he heard something else. A soft tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. He sat up and looked around his room. The noise was coming from the window. Slowly, he crept to the curtain and peeked outside. At first, he saw nothing but the swaying trees. Then, in the shadow of the tallest tree, he saw it, a tall, dark figure with glowing red eyes watching him. Mateo gasped and jumped back into bed, pulling the covers over his head. He whispered to himself, "It's not real, it's not real." But the tapping grew louder. Tap, tap, tap. "Mateo." A raspy voice called from the window. Shaking with fear, Mateo whispered, "Abuela, I'm sorry, I'll go to bed." The tapping stopped. The cookie sang again. Mateo peeked out from his blanket, and the shadow was gone. From that night on, Mateo always listened to his abuela. After all, El Cuco only comes for children who don't behave. In Puerto Rican folklore, El Cuco is a terrifying creature often described as a shadowy figure with large ears, who lurks in the darkness to snatch away disobedient children. Parents would use the threat of El Cuco to scare their kids into behaving, warning that if they didn't go to sleep or listen, El Cuco would come and take them away in the night, leaving no trace behind. The listening ears. A child is playing at night, not realizing that El Cuco is watching from the shadows, large ears picking up every sound, waiting for the perfect moment to snatch the child away. A young girl hears a scratching sound under her bed and suspects El Cuco is hiding there, paralyzed with fear as she tries to stay still and quiet. The child hears a soft, eerie voice calling his name from the closet, believing it is El Cuco, beckoning them closer. A mischievous child disobeys their parents and goes out alone at night, only to vanish without a trace, with whispers circulating that El Cuco has taken them. While sitting in the dark, a child notices a shifting shadow in the corner of their room, convinced it's El Cuco, watching. El Cuco is more than just a scary story to keep kids in line. It's a cultural icon, a blend of folklore brought from Spain and shaped by the unique traditions of the island. So let's dive into the shadows and uncover the story of Puerto Rico's El Cuco. The legend of El Cuco originated in Spain, where the creature was known as El Coco. The name might sound innocent. It means coconut in Spanish, But its meaning was anything but. El Cuco was a shapeless monster used to frighten children into obedience, often described as a shadowy figure or even a hairy beast. Spanish parents would sing lullabies warning their children to behave, or El Coco would come and take them away. When Spanish colonizers brought their culture to Puerto Rico, the legend of El Coco came with them. Over time, it evolved, becoming El Cuco in Puerto Rican folklore, a creature uniquely adapted to the island's culture and fear. El Cuco took on a new life in Puerto Rico, becoming an ever present shadow lurking in the dark corners of the island. In Puerto Rico, El Cuco is often described as a dark, shapeless entity that preys on misbehaving children. Unlike other versions of the boogeyman, El Cuco's lack of defined form makes it even more terrifying. It said Cuco hides under beds, in closets, or even outside the window, waiting to snatch children who disobey their parents. What's interesting is how El Cuco embodies both the fear of the unknown and the fear of the natural world. Puerto Rico's lush forests, caves, and mountains provide the perfect backdrop for the creature that thrives in the shadows. In some stories, El Cuco is said to live in the dark corners of the rainforest, watching and waiting for its next victim. This connection to nature adds an extra layer of mystery and danger to the legend. Parents in Puerto Rico often evoke El Cuco as a disciplinary tool, warning children that if they don't behave, El Cuco will come and take them away. El Cuco isn't just a figure of fear, it's a reflection of a cultural value and anxieties. In Puerto Rico, the legend highlights the importance of family, respect, and obedience. It's a way for parents to protect their children from danger, whether it's wandering into the dense forest or defying authority in ways that could lead to harm. But El Cuco is more than just a parenting tool. It represents the unknown and the uncontrollable, the things that go bump in the night. For a creature deeply connected to nature and spirituality, El Cuco's presence serves as a reminder of the unseen forces that shape our world. Even in modern times, the legend of El Cuco persists. It's woven into Puerto Rican literature, art, and storytelling. And while its primary role is to scare children, it's also a source of fascination for those who love exploring the island's rich folkloric history. What makes El Cuco fascinating is how it connects to similar legends around the world. As we mentioned earlier, El Cuco is a version of the boogeyman, a figure found in nearly every culture. In Latin America, there's El Cucoy. In Brazil, there's La Cuca, a terrifying female alligator. Even in places like Japan, the concept of a lurking creature like the Namahag shares thematic similarities to the Cuco. These stories reveal a universal truth. Fear is a powerful tool. Across culture, creatures like El Cuco are used to teach lessons, instill caution, and explain the unexplainable. And despite their differences, they all tap into a shared human experience, the fear of what we can't see. El Cuco reminds us that even in a world of science and reason, there's still room for mystery, fear, and wonder. If the shadow of our collective imagination, a creature that refuses to fade away, and maybe that's because the fear of El Cuco isn't just about the creature itself, it's about its representation, the unknown.
Were you ever told stories of El Cuco?
I
Growing?
was. I was when I was little, but not like often.
Mhm.
But I
And was
know
it
like
to make you fearful?
see, now I'm the youngest of 5, and I was told stories out of pure torture. So I don't think my mom ever told me the story. I would say it would probably be more like one of my siblings told me, which means they were told it. But I remember maybe a couple times being told about El Cuco, but I remember it, but I don't remember any stories I was told about it. But I just know it was a creature that existed, and it could have actually been my grandma who told me. I know Tony mentions it like, the El Cuco and stuff like that, but I also don't know if it was part of his childhood either. It's just we all know about it. And there's like a strong belief that it is real.
I think I've seen TV shows maybe about cryptids that El Coco was in it, and there would be stories of people in Puerto Rico, especially in the villages that live near forests, that
Yeah.
have claimed to see it as they're walking home late at night from work or something.
Well, I know the Grimm, the show, they
Mhm.
did an episode on the Kukoi.
Okay.
Now the cucoy is from Mexico. So it's the same but different. It's the same, different name. And then actually Stephen King wrote a book of his version of the cuco, and it was turned into a TV show, The Outsider,
Yeah, I've seen that.
where they're shapeshifters.
Hmm.
Like they scratch you and then
Yeah,
they can become you, but they look a little disformed.
yeah,
That was his version of the El Cuco, because that's what it was. Other than that, it would probably be in like more Spanish literature, more on the island. But yeah, it's something that is like strongly believed in as being real, just like the chupacabra is like considered actually real on a different level, because I don't think you're really made to fear the chupacabra. It's more like a nuisance to your livestock,
yeah.
or the cuco. The cuco comes after you.
So since you started with two stories, bedtime stories, I'll start mine with a bedtime story. In the heart of the Pine Barrens, there's a rule whispered by the locals: never go into the forest alone, or you might meet the Jersey Devil. Emma thought she was smarter than legends. She had heard the stories about the clawed creature with wings like a bat and eyes that burn like fire. But she didn't believe in monsters. So when her friends dared her to venture into the woods alone, she laughed and accepted. I'll be back in 10 minutes, Emma said, flashlight in hand. Don't chicken out without me. The forest swallowed her whole. The deeper she went, the darker it became. Her flashlight beam trembled as twisted branches clawed at her hoodie. The silence was unsettling, broken only by the occasional snap of a twig behind her. Just the wind, she whispered, forcing herself to laugh. But then she heard it, a low growl, so guttural it seemed to rise from the ground beneath her. Emma froze. Slowly she turned her flashlight towards the sound. There it stood, hunched and massive, its leathery wings folded at its sides. The Jersey Devil, its eyes locked onto hers, gleaming with a hunger that chilled her blood. Emma stumbled back, her flashlight flickering, and turned to run. The forest twisted around her, the path she had come from now gone. The devil's footsteps were heavy, deliberate, always behind her no matter how fast she ran. She tripped on a root and fell hard, her flashlight shattering. In the suffocating darkness, she felt hot breath on the back of her neck. A voice, low and mocking, rasped in her ear. You came alone, no one to hear you scream. Emma's friends waited by the forest edge, but she never came back. When they finally found the courage to search for her the next morning, all they discovered was tattered hoodie, claw marks in the dirt, and a trail of hoof prints leading deeper into the woods. Moral: never go into the forest by yourself. Some legends are real, and some creatures are always watching, waiting for the foolish and the brave to walk alone. The New Jersey Pinelands is home to miles of pine trees and sandy roads, but it is also home to New Jersey's most infamous resident, the Jersey Devil. So this creature is believed to be the unwanted 13th child of Mother Leeds. According to those in the know, Mother Leeds, before the birth of her 13th child, declared that she wished the devil would take the child away after it was born, as the number 13 was seen as very unlucky. When her baby was born, she appeared to have given birth to a healthy, blue-eyed baby boy. The child suddenly changed into the ugliest of creatures and flew away into the vast darkness of the Pinelands. Some believed her to be a sorceress. So I read a story on Reddit that said allegedly in the 1700s, Ben Franklin used some folklore about a flying animal to make the Leeds family look bad for political reasons. People originally started claiming to see it to further his smear campaign. The Jersey Devil is described as a kangaroo-like creature with the face of a horse, the head of a dog, bat-like wings, horns, and a tail. It is reported that the Jersey Devil inhabits the eerie and misty wetland areas of the region, venturing out into the woodlands at night seeking humans to scare away with his piercing screams and grotesque appearance. The devil's form has been suggested to be the blending of human and devil, as are Gothic gargoyles. Devil lore began in the region about 1735, shortly after Ben Franklin's fictitious stories in the Pennsylvania Gazette about a Burlington County witchcraft trial. Prominent citizens or government officials were among many who had witnessed sightings of the creature. They included businessmen, postal officials, and policemen who had seen or heard the creature and saw his tracks left in the snow. This marks the beginning of a change from local folklore to the devil's presence in the regional culture. Commodore Stephen Decatur was an American naval hero in the early 19th century. According to legend, he visited the Hanover Mill Works to inspect his cannonballs being made. While there, he visited a firing range and sighted a flying creature flapping its wings. He fired a cannonball directly at it, which had no effect, and the creature flew away. Joseph Bonaparte, the brother of Napoleon Bonaparte and former king of Spain, was reported to have seen the devil. The incident took place in Bordentown, New Jersey, while he was game hunting in the nearby woods. The Jersey Devil is said to have been seen in New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. In January 1909, hundreds of people reported seeing the Jersey Devil in South Jersey and the Philadelphia area. The sightings led to widespread fear and panic in the region, and even prompted some schools to close. People reported seeing the Jersey Devil flying, jumping, and making loud screeching sounds. Some said it had the head of a horse, long legs with hooves, and bat-like wings. Others said it looked like a huge bird with long hoofed legs. A later theory was a creature, a sandy hill crane. The crane stands 4 feet high and is about 15 pounds. It has up to an 80-inch wingspan. Its ferocity when cornered is well documented, and it gyrates when flying. Some reported seeing the Jersey Devil attack a trolley car and a social club. Others reported seeing strange footprints in the snow. The Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the Jersey Devil's capture, but the reward went unclaimed. Scientists from the Smithsonian Institution in Philadelphia speculated that the Jersey Devil could be a prehistoric creature. The Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia could not locate any record of a living or dead species resembling the Jersey Devil. Some say the Jersey Devil may be a hammerhead bat that snuck aboard a fruit ship from Africa to America. Although the hammerhead bat and Jersey Devil share some features, it is very unlikely that the Jersey Devil could be a bat, as hammerhead bats cannot survive the winter and very cold weather. The Jersey Devil can survive and is much larger in appearance, with enough strength to injure its victims. Vigilante groups and hunters searched the area for the Jersey Devil. Newspapers published stories about the sightings, which created fear in the region. The mystery of the Jersey Devil's identity was never solved. The Jersey Devil is still said to be sighted in New Jersey today. Since the growth of New Jersey with glass and paper manufacturing, military complexes, resort communities, and development of well-lit highway systems has caused the devil's appearance to be less frequent. But the legend will never die. He has been exorcised, executed, shot, incinerated, declared officially dead, and declared officially foolish. In 1939, the New Jersey Devil was reportedly named the official state demon. Walter Edge, twice governor of the state, was quoted as saying, "When I was a boy, I was never threatened with the boogeyman. We were threatened with the Jersey Devil, morning, noon, and night. Legend has it that the creature terrorizes any who ventures too far into the woods. Parents use this tale to warn children about wandering alone into the forest."
It's so funny because to me, like, I feel like Jersey looks as the Jersey Devil as a mascot now. I don't think anybody's scared of it. I've never seen the Jersey Devil. I've only heard about it. But again, it's almost described like as a sports mascot, like how we have Figment and stuff like that. So I don't even see him as something that you're supposed to be scared of.
I mean, yeah, back then they were probably scared of it, but now I don't think so. I think one of the sports names are called the Devils. I don't
Maybe
know,
probably
hockey or
it
something.
could be their hockey team.
Yeah.
Because I know when it was trying to say it was trying to compare it to a bat, but I'm like, from my understanding, the Jersey Devil is like 6 feet tall.
hmm
And
That's why they're saying it could not be a hammerhead bat, even though they share similarities.
yeah, their hockey team is the New Jersey Devils. Yeah, I guess I'm saying, like, I feel like Jersey is truly proud of their Jersey Devil mascot. Like, they're not scared of it. They'll
Mhm.
probably, yeah, use it to trick their kid, not trick, but like discipline their kids. I think up to a certain age though, it's like
Uh-huh.
we ain't scared of that.
Yeah. I
Plus, if
mean,
they're
back
from
then,
Jersey,
but think
yeah,
about it. In the 1700s, there was a lot more forest. So there
True.
was a lot more to be scared of. There
Well,
wasn't all
Jersey,
these lit streets and stuff, so it was much darker at night. This is more in the South Jersey area. They say as you get more north, the Jersey Devil is less malicious, is more benevolent
yeah.
creature. It's not as vicious and it's not attackful to the victims.
Yeah, and I saw, like it said, like with the development of, more roads and buildings, basically anything that causes more light, you see the Jersey Devil less frequently, which I'm like, I would think you would see it more because it'd be less able to hide.
Less able to hide, but maybe more afraid to come into the light.
True.
That's why it hides in the forests.
Which makes me think, like, say if these things are real, like cryptids and everything, the Jersey Devil, the El Cuco or the Chupacabra or Bigfoot, if they were real, right,
Mhm.
it would make sense that with the development of the world moving forward with technology, cameras, infrared, everything's
Phones.
being watched 24/7,
Mhm.
that they would become extinct. If they
Like they
are
go into
touching,
hiding. Like they
not
go
if
into
they go into
hiding.
hiding, but if they are something that is truly supernatural, right?
Mhm.
Maybe they chose not to exist anymore. Like
Like,
maybe we've become more fearful to them than we are of them. Like they
yeah,
fear
like
us
they fear
more.
us. Yeah.
They fear us more than we fear them
Like they say,
because
Bigfoot comes and goes in like in a dimension. Like he's there 1 second, he's gone.
yeah.
Maybe that's how these other cryptids are. They just come and go. And maybe I saw a show, I forget what it was called, but they were talking about cryptids. I think it was the Bradshaw haunting, I don't know, some show. And they were looking for like there was a lot of UFO sightings and stuff in that area. They said maybe these cryptids are actual alien forms and they
Mm,
have progressed so much where they can jump dimensions because they have found the technology to be able to open portals.
like to
And
slip
there's
in and slip out.
yeah, so they're so much more advanced than us that they can do that. We're not there yet to be able to do it. So this one guy had this object called like the Tesla something where it generates so much energy into that area, into that room. And they turned it on in that room. They had a chair in the middle of the room and they had their infrared lights and everything. Oh, and then they had that thing. It's kind of like the app Ghost Tube, where it shows you if there is like some type of being there with like lines and dots.
Hmm.
And so as they turned that on and it generated all this energy into the room, they turned that device on and they saw something just appear onto that chair with like it actually looked humanoid kind of. So they put like a laser light by where its feet would be, and you can see like the head part where that line for the head is actually look down. And then the leg part, like try to kick that laser away, like saw what it was. You know what I mean?
But
So
was it there?
no, to the
No,
night, no.
not to the naked eye.
Yeah.
Like, cause but what you're saying, it gives me like Predator vibes. You know how like Predator can go invisible? Like he
Mm,
can reflect the light so he's invisible. But if I was to reach out and try to touch, I would touch him.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No,
that's what
no,
I'm saying.
because one of the experiments when they saw it, like it was sitting there moving around. The one guy's like, I'm gonna go sit on the chair. He sat on the chair. He's like, I feel like a lot of kind of movement, like his body was kind of moving. And underneath that thing that those little lines and dots or whatever was kind
Mm.
of like struggling. And then it pushed up over his head and then went up into the air and then disappeared. And then like a couple of times, then he gets off the chair and then something else appears on the chair, more not so humanoid in appearance, had more lines and more dots. It kind of moved around and stuff in the chair. And then he went, sat on it. As he sat on it, it completely disappeared. That energy that was being created in that room, that high volume of energy was making something come through, but they just didn't know what it was. And then it would like come show itself, like look around in the room, like, where am I? And then disappear. You know what I mean?
So they weren't, what is it, corporeal. They weren't taking up actual mass. They weren't becoming solid
Yeah.
then.
I think it's the Bradshaw Ranch. It's kind of like the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
but Bradshaw Ranch, I believe that's what it's called. So it was really interesting to see all the experiments they were doing in the room. And then they did see something crouch slash shadow that looked like a Bigfoot type of shadow outside, like something was watching them the whole time. But then I don't know, they have some videos, they have some pictures, but then you really can't see it. It's more like a shadow and then it would disappear. So like there was a lot of activity in that area. I don't know if it's high energy. I don't know if there's a lot of vibrations, whatever it is, but it's like right outside of Sedona. And
Oh,
you know
okay.
how Sedona has a lot of vibration there with the twisted, that's why the trees grow twisted and people go there to meditate and stuff like that. I wonder if it's like that, the same,
Yeah.
environment. So that's why cryptids could be just alien beings because nobody knows what aliens look like. It could look like anything.
I never even thought about that. Like it could be, and that's probably why they're so different. There's so many different types of cryptids. But saying that, I kind of feel like they all wouldn't be that highly intelligent.
No, they wouldn't all be, but I think most of them or
Like
some of them would be.
Like, I think well, like, when I think of okay, so, like, the Jersey Devil or the bugbear or a Yeti or a Bigfoot, like, they're so massive in size, and then if we go by, like, the bigger you are, the bigger your brain, the smarter you are, maybe they're more intelligent, but then when I think of, like, the chupacabra, which is, like they're saying it looks like a dog with fangs and,
Yeah.
like, a hairless wolf type thing, I
Mhm.
feel like that's more like the chupacabra is, like, their pet.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, they you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, they're the
That's
people,
Bigfoot's
but the
dog. Yeah,
chupacabra is the pet, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
he not he not that intelligent.
Mm-mm.
That's
He
what I'm
came
thinking, like
he came through the portal with Bigfoot by mistake, and then Bigfoot didn't know he ran out the door, and he went back home, and
he's like,
the
"Bitch, what
fucking
you
dog is
doing
gone.
here? You was
It's
supposed to
like,
stay
"Where's my
back."
dog?" Like, now he's looking for him everywhere, appearing in all these forests, looking for this damn dog that he can't find.
Yeah. Or what's the one in Philly that the one that looks like a hairless rat, pig, bunny
Mhm.
thing? Oh my god.
Yeah. I think that was a science experiment gone wrong.
Yeah. That
So
looks like
anyway,
an undeveloped alien embryoid.
yeah, I was talking to my sister on the phone because I watched a show called, The House in Between, and there's this house in Mississippi that's kinda, like, in between portals, and there's a lot of activity in that house. So that lady bought it because it was a perfect area that she wanted to live in. I mean, it's beautiful. And she started renovating the house, and then suddenly, like, activity started because when you start changing things around, activity starts. And then once the lights started turning on and off by itself, she was like, "Yeah, I'm done." She left, but she didn't sell the house, she kept it. Then she found in the paper somebody that, does paranormal investigations. She called them and said, "Hey, like, I have a lot of activity in my house. I don't know what's going on. Can you help me out?" So they do all these experiments and stuff. So anyway, I was telling my sister this. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my goes off and says, "Would you like me to turn anything on?" And scared the shit out of me. And I'm like, and me and my sister were like, nobody even said her name.
Just
And then
like how went off earlier.
yeah, and then she's like, "You're talking about this haunted house in the portals, and it's setting off your." And then she goes, "I don't know what you mean by that because I guess it's waiting for a command, but I'm still talking to my sister." So I had to say her name and tell her to stop, for it to stop. And then as we're talking, something happens in her house because she's in her attic while she's talking to me. It's a finished attic. And she looks up suddenly. And I'm like, "What? What happened?" She's like, "I swear to God, I heard a noise. I heard something." She's like, "Can you keep talking to me or I'm going to start crying?" And so then we like keep talking until, she felt better. But like it was crazy, like just talking about that haunted house. And then all of a sudden, like both of our houses, like something happened in
They
it.
both reacted.
hmm I was like, oh shit.
And now it's time for a glimpse into the shadows with our tarot card of the episode. Tonight's card is the Empress reversed. Creative block, dependence on others. The Empress reversed encourages you to make self love and self care a priority. Now is the time to bring your loving energy and focus to yourself, especially if you have been giving away your personal power by placing too much emphasis on another person's emotional or material needs. thus neglecting your own. Book a girls' weekend, go for a walk on your own, or start a creative project that is just for you. It is essential that you fill your cup and care for yourself so you can take care of others without resentment. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. More self care.
Yeah.
That's it for tonight's journey into the shadows. We hope you enjoyed uncovering the monsters hiding just out of sight.
Remember, every story has a shadow and every shadow has a story, but we're not the only ones who can tell them.
That's right. If you got a story about the creatures lurking in the dark, send it to us on Instagram or share it in our Reddit community. We'd love to feature it on a future episode.
And don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss a new episode. We drop fresh chills every Thursday.
Until next time, stay vigilant, stay awake, and stay aware.
Because not all shadows are harmless.
Bye.
Bye.